I've spent some time playing around with the RedMagic Nova tablet that I bought using the early bird offer to get a slight discount and be among one of the very first customers to get my hands on one. It's a well-made piece of hardware. The tablet is on a slim end with a well-made metal body and metal buttons. You can check out more in the video from Jerry Rig Everything. Link in the description. It features pogo pins for a keyboard attachment, which is not shipping out yet, as well as a wireless charge port for the pen with a magnetic attachment as well. Neither of those are shipping at the moment. I only ordered the keyboard, but again, it still wasn't shipped out to me. It features 4 decent speakers on the sides that provide really good audio for what they are, but they are prone to being covered up when you're playing games. It has a magnetic attachment for the flip cover, as well as an option to be put to sleep whenever you close it up. Power button has a touch sensor. It's a narrow one. It's a little bit awkward, not that reliable, but still not too shabby. You can just use it for unlocking your device or something. There's a front-facing camera on the bezel set up to be on the top side when holding the tablet landscape. I prefer that over having a punch hole camera or an under-screen camera. In a defined spot, you can see where it is. It has a fan camera bump on the back that makes it wobble a tiny bit when you put it on the table without a cover of some sort. It doesn't really bother me, and if you use the flip cover, it has a cutout that basically resolves the entire issue. The fan itself is in a closed loop environment with no intakes or outtakes that are external. Can be set up to do multiple things, such as engaging when the tablet is doing fast charging and adapting to use scenario outside of games. It doesn't make much noise when running even at full speed, and you pretty much have to put it up to your ear, start moving around when it's going at full blast to hear it. When gaming, the tablet can get quite warm and starts to even get a little bit uncomfortable under very intense loads after a while, especially in Diablo mode. I haven't really seen it throttle, and depending on how you hold the tablet, the Diablo mode heat might not even be a problem for you. And if you put it on your lap when you have some pants on, it's perfectly fine. There are some shortcomings here. There's definitely missing stuff that I wish it had, such as a headphone jack and NFC connectivity, which actually is kind of screwing me over. Basically, I have Type A 5 series CB keys that I use, and I basically need an adapter to plug them into my tablet. The camera on the back is capable of shooting 4K 60. You can save it with HEVC, I think. So if you need a camera in a pinch, the tablet will do. The display is a high resolution, really good IPS panel. It competes with my high-end gaming monitor that I use for my gaming PC, but it has, of course, a much higher pixel density as my gaming display is a 1080p display at 24 inches. The 144 Hz mode looks quite nice in motion. I don't really see smearing or overdrive artifacts on the panel. The motion clarity is good, but it's not as great as something with, black frame insertion, backlight strobing, ULMB, DIAC, whichever technology you might be used to on the high-end PC monitors and things. But still, it looks quite nice. It's a 16 by 10 aspect ratio with rounded edges, not too bad on that edge. And again, it is an IPS panel, not an OLED, so you're gonna get IPS glow in darker scenes, but it doesn't really bother me. It looks really nice, and it is a way to cut down on cost and not have to deal with image retention, which would mess it up for some people depending on their use case. It's definitely a great way to keep the cost of the tablet down, and again, the price on this thing is really, really good. The gamer aesthetic is basically gone the second you disable the backlit RedMagic logo. There's multiple presets you can set up for. You can use it as a notification LED if you want to. That's how I've been using it myself. It works quite nicely that way. And the back glass panel isn't really that visible when you have the LEDs disabled. It doesn't really look like a gaming tablet. You could totally sneak this around and make it look like a proper piece of hardware that isn't gamer grade. I really like this stealth gamer aesthetic. That is something I always go for. Actually, when I had this thing out and about, people thought I was just using an iPad because of the shape of it from the front, the rounded edges and so on. It looks quite a bit like an iPad. The Type-C port is quite good. It has a video out, so you can just plug it to a dock, use it with an external monitor, even use a keyboard and mouse, controllers, whatever you really want to. It is not perfect though. Not all docks work. Most of them do, but my ThinkPad dock with multi-stream DisplayPort seems to not be playing ball at all. But that's literally the only one I've came across trying multiple ones myself, including even monitors with native Type-C ports that they handle on their own. Also, the battery life. The tablet has a quite large battery that can handle around 3 hours of gaming with the Rise preset, which is typically sufficient for playing games. The tablet comes also with an 80-watt fast charger, which is basically the max amount of the power it can take. I could literally take that charger and put it in one of my bags. It's a nice smaller gun brick. It's black. It doesn't even have any gamer aesthetic on it or anything like that. I could charge my laptop with it. I could charge my Nintendo Switch just using the same Type-C to Type-C cable. Although that cable itself is on the shorter end, I wish it was a little bit longer. But yeah, it comes with a cable. It comes with a charger brick, and it even comes with stickers you can put on the tablet. Although the flip cover is of course an extra purchase if you haven't seen it. Other things, the software side of things. The tablet comes with customized software, some of which is pretty necessary to take advantage of hardware features. It has a Game Center overlay with a way to manually add games that don't get picked up automatically. That seems to happen with titles that aren't the biggest games. There's an overlay for games that features things like TDP control and ways to provide, performance statistics, the screen refresh rate, recording the screen, clipping gameplay, customizing gaming features like the touch polling rate, even some video driver settings for like forcing MSAA if that's a thing you want to do. You have touch rejection, options to mess around with the touch polling rate, which actually makes a noticeable difference in use. You can also toggle on low latency mode for Wi-Fi. You can enable things like touch rejection. You can, for example, make it so that swipes to bring up the overlay or the notifications and so on take 2 swipes, and it actually requires them to be done in a fast succession. So you cannot do that, by accident. There's crosshairs, there's macros, and they warn you that you're gonna get banned if you abuse them, which is actually nice on their side. There's even a feature I haven't used yet to provide mouse and keyboard emulation for games that don't support it. That's a thing you want to do, although again, use it responsibly. Might be considered soft aim in some games. I think it might be fine in PUBG Mobile actually. Anyway, you have 4 TDP presets. One of them is Diablo mode. It disengages video recording, so I don't have footage of it because I don't have a capture card. Again, yeah, pretty much all the footage that you're gonna see here is using the Rise preset. That's the one I typically use for playing games. There's some annoying stuff that the tablet has when it's enabled, like some intro videos, a sound effect when the fan turns on, which is like an engine revving noise by default, but you can disable that. You can disable a pop-up that tries to get you to just open up floating window apps from Google, which I don't care about, but that's again very easy to disable. Game Center also has some intro videos that are quite lengthy, but you can just disable them so it doesn't try to show you the RedMagic logo every time you enter the game space, which by the way automatically engages when you open a game that is added to the game space. Adding those is quite easy and straightforward. Again, the annoying parts of the tablet, you can disable the software features you don't really care about. Loadware is kept to a minimum. There's some Google apps. There's Nora Live, the game space, which is pretty much a must. Some stuff in settings like the DTS audio settings. You can also enable filters for games, as far as I know. I haven't really used those. But again, all of that is nice. I think you can even customize how the gyro works if you do gyro aiming with the tablet. There's Nora, again, I mentioned Nora Live before. It is basically a VTubing app. You can use it to VTube. You can also use it to just show your face in a floating window for like screencasts or recording footage of something, which is nice. The Nora app also has like the Wi-Fi aspect of it. You might have seen that in other reviews of even different RedMagic devices like the 9S Pro. Let's get on to the performance section of things. Tablet, it basically rips through any game you throw at it at the moment. It's snappy outside of them. I've done 1440p video editing on it with CapCut and it was quite fast, even if I didn't add CapCut as a game to put it in Diablo mode or anything like that to speed up the rendering processes. Games tend to run, well, even at the high settings of the tablet, and you're more likely to run into software locks preventing you from engaging high frame rate caps in games rather than insufficient performance, well, unless the game is Warzone Mobile. I'm gonna throw some footage up here. I haven't uploaded it separately because the video recorder app is a little bit broken. And there's no way to have audio recording working inside of that game. It doesn't run well on this device. You can hit triple digit frame rates when you're pretty much looking at the sky or something like that. And there's also some visual glitches that happen pretty much no matter what visual settings you play the game at. But yeah, you pretty much, regardless of the settings, you can expect the game to be running at about 40 FPS in some scenarios. And I think it's just either CPU bound or really unoptimized. You can run Minecraft Java Edition on this thing. I'm not even gonna show footage on it. There's a PoJav launcher application. You can use it to basically install Java Edition on your Android device. Depending on your settings, you can actually hit a native 144 Hz at native resolution on the tablet. I've played it with the newest release of Minecraft and Optifine, but you can pretty much install any mods. Most of them should work. There's some workarounds if anything is throwing issues. And the tablet has an Adreno GPU, so you can use turnip drivers and so on. It is basically as compatible as it can get with that stuff. When it comes to emulation, I'm not gonna show any footage, especially considering that the interesting stuff is Nintendo, and Nintendo's going out against pretty much anyone who's showing emulator footage. You can see video from Taki Udam talking about the 9S Pro, which is using the same SoC but probably has slightly inferior cooling, showing off some insane levels of compatibility with emulators to play the games. Again, another link in the description. So the tablet has accessories. Some of those are not out yet. I got the smart cover. I've mentioned it before. It's a really nice one. You can fold it into like a triangle stand on the back. You can just flip it around. You can close it up on the tablet and you have it go to sleep if you enable the smart cover functionality. It snaps on with magnets, holds on really securely. You can pretty much hold onto the tablet by the stand if you fold it up, which I've done in some cases because it's somewhat comfortable. There's no adjustable angle on that cover though, but again, highly recommend if you're getting the tablet. It's good enough for me to just throw the whole thing into my bag and not really care about getting it banged up, especially if I'm putting it in a reasonable way, you know. And again, I bought this tablet just to have a computer that fits in my purse, and it's serving that purpose quite nicely. The other accessories are the pen that I've mentioned before. The pen snaps on magnetically, is charged wirelessly, so if you want to do something like do some drawing on the tablet or whatever, you can get that thing. It can probably work with Krita, which is a full featured version of Krita you can just run on Android. Again, it's not shipping out yet. And also there's a screen protector. I also ordered this one, supposedly like a nicer glass screen protector. Again, can't talk about things I haven't got my hands on yet. Also, game support. Let's get on to that because there's some things I want to say about that. Some features are not waitlisted in games. Haptics in PUBG Mobile cannot be enabled at the moment. Fortnite doesn't let you officially engage the cap past 90 FPS. I've seen someone actually engage 120 FPS and get into game, but I wouldn't recommend it. The device barely came out. Plenty of people haven't even gotten their hands on it yet. I think there's some issues with stock. Basically, the tablet barely came out. People haven't really even gotten their hands on it yet in some cases. Games haven't been updated to whitelist some of the stuff because, again, a lot of stuff in Android the ecosystem seems to rely on whitelists, which this tablet just isn't on yet. Plenty of games run at sub-native resolutions. PUBG Mobile is somewhat on the higher end, but you can still see it's not native. Fortnite, even if when it's set to quote-unquote 100% resolution, is quite pixelated, quite blurry, but it's totally playable. Even with like further range fights, it's still totally acceptable. Also, I had no issues doing things like just enabling 144Hz streaming and Moonlight and getting 144Hz. Some games that don't have frame rate caps, you can play at 144 FPS with no issues. You also have to keep in mind one thing. Games like Fortnite engage VSync, so you have to match the refresh rate with the target frame rate in game. So 90 FPS in game, 90 FPS refresh rate in game center is highly recommended to get actual 90 FPS. Tablet has multiple presets for those. And let's maybe get onto the biggest set of gripes I have. Those are not with the tablet itself, those are with Android. And the fact that gaining root access risks issues with games as they have anti-dumper measures. This severely restricts what can be done with the device, ignoring the fact that it hasn't been out for long enough to get custom ROMs and whatnot. Heck, even Windows 11 might be able to be run on this device down the line, but that is not something that I would know much about. As far as I know, it's a Qualcomm device and people have done that sort of stuff on it, and the scene just hasn't had a chance to pop up yet. I personally managed to lock myself out of side loading, which excluded 99% of the games I wanted to play on this device, because I enabled advanced protection on my Google account. This means that whenever I would try to sideload an application, we get information that I cannot do that. It was quite confusing, but basically you have to disable it and you have to wait up to 24 hours. In my case, it was like about 9. It was really annoying. I basically, the first day of me owning the tablet, I couldn't do what I bought it for, even though it doesn't require rooting or even really causing any troubles with a safety net. If you're not an active user of an Android and you're trying to get an Android device, be wary of the advanced protection setting because it will lock you out of side loading anything that isn't in the Google Play Store. This even includes things as innocuous as the Epic Game Launcher to get something like Fortnite or F-Droid. Controller support on Android is pretty bad. You can pair popular controllers over Bluetooth, they mostly work, but if you do it wirelessly, you get unbearable amounts of input lag. Probably around a second before you see the actions of you pressing a button on the screen. If you plug the controllers wired, which again, most modern controllers use Type-C, so you just get a Type-C cable and you plug it in, they work just fine. There's some weirdness with Android. Things like select buttons will usually get bound to the back key on Android, which cannot be bound in some games to our actions, which is super annoying. If you want to use this tablet with a pointing device like a mouse or a track point on my keyboard, which is the way I would usually go about things, it is a little bit dire. Some actions you straight up just cannot do by clicking. This mostly includes things like games that do not support mouse and keyboard input. They will generally speaking not even let you click around menus, but even surprising places and applications require you to manually touch the screen. Super annoying. Some apps will lack features on Android. So you have to just hop back and open it up in a web browser. This even includes things like YouTube Studio of all things. I cannot set custom thumbnails among other things inside of the app. There's a lot of just relying on the web browser. Or for example, the deck layout in Mastodon clients is typically not available in apps. So I just use Mastodon via a web browser. Also, the screenshots get blocked quite a lot. You cannot screenshot easily in things like incognito tabs in web browsers because it just gets software blocked, which is annoying because that is not exactly what I mean by incognito mode. I typically use it just to not have persistent sessions in some applications. There's a way to have two apps side by side, and that works quite nicely. Although the applications are treated as a single group, you pretty much have to manually click in the application to switch focus over to it. But you can have applications side by side with, all the 144 hertz scrolling that this device provides. They're all snappy, which is quite useful for certain use cases. And just generally speaking, when you're using the tablet just as intended, scrolling around apps at 144 hertz, scrolling around web browsers at 144 hertz works quite nicely. But your experience, especially if you plug in a mouse and a keyboard, will vary all over the place. Firefox is quite bad, whereas for example, Chromium will have actual tabs, but hey, you don't get web extensions and all the things that implies that I might not be able to mention here because this is going up on YouTube. Wink, wink. So yeah, these are my thoughts on the tablet. There's ecosystem of accessories that are quite good. It's well built. It is a really good deal. It is basically the fastest Android device you can get at the moment. And especially as people get their hands on it who are more into the scene of messing with things and poking at them and don't care about things like being able to play games that have root detection, they will be able to do some incredible things, I assume. But yeah, from my point of view, I do not regret buying this tablet. I think it's really a good deal, and if you don't need as much storage, you can buy the 12 gig version with 256 gigs of the fast storage it has. Unfortunately, this is modern Android, so you don't have a micro SD card slot to just put in and expand your storage to store like your video recordings or whatever locally. That sucks. If you think that mobile games don't take up that much space, just try doing a full download of something like PUBG Mobile or Warzone. These games get big. So yeah, these are my thoughts on the tablet. It is quite a good value proposition at the prices you can get it at. There's an ecosystem of accessories that are quite good. It's well built. It is a really good deal. It is basically the fastest Android device you can get at the moment. And especially as people get their hands on it who are more into the scene of messing with things and poking at them. But yeah, make sure you drop a like, subscribe if you want to see more. I do all sorts of things. I usually stream a lot. I play games a lot. I upload whatever I want up to this channel. So you never know what's around the corner with me. Meow meow.